All right, here we are. It is 11:30 down here in Las Vegas. This is our Super Bowl show. I'm Mazvita Maraire, and this is Seattle Sports Weekly. And man, it is, what do they say, on and cracking down here? I mean, it is just incredible what's happening down here. And we're going to bring you a little bit of that. We're going to get some player interviews, got some guests coming on, and yeah, it's just another one of those shows where we're going to be everywhere and anywhere, and it's quite the spectacle, I must admit. In terms of Vegas last night, they had the media opening night, and so they shuttle you over there to Allegiant Stadium, and which that's where the game will be. And then you go down and you enter and everything else. But what was amazing is on the field, they have the players come out, and all media are there, and it's just a who's who, and all kind of questions are being asked, and I'll play some of those a little bit, but it's just incredible. The questions asked, from A to Z, and how the players answer it, and I got some in, and then I got flashed on as well. So man, it's fun. I mean, it's just a whole lot of things going on, and I'm gonna do got a pretty cool video this cut, man, but I'm gonna wait until it's Vegas, right? So you're going from one casino to the walkway to the other. Lord and behold, there is a boxing ring right there, and I guess there is going to be a boxing match between Tefino Lopez at Mandalay Bay. And so I just happened to walk into, they were getting ready to do their whole sparring. In boxing they do those shows where they the press conference, and so I was like, well, let me hang around for a second, and then it's a pretty cool, old school kind of, think of the movie Rocky, right? And so this guy's been Burtis Meredith. This guy's been around the fight world, and I'll play it, but he's gonna tell you a little bit about just all that. He's a who's who. He's a cut man, and he knows what's a cut man. They actually try to keep the the boxers from bleeding, and they don't cut people. So that whole cut me Mick in the movie Rocky, that didn't really happen, because I think you'll talk about it. We were laughing a little bit. It's like, no, why would you cut a boxer? Because then he's bleeding. So, anyways, it's Jaime Ortiz against Tefilo Lopez, and it's coming up on Thursday. So the guy that's associated with that, we're gonna hear from him a little bit. But like I said, we'll be all over the board, and we are. It's just glad to be with you all and having a ball, eating a lot of food, and just mingling with a lot of people, learning a lot. That's what's funny thing about y'all, the Super Bowl week, but leading up to it, there's so many conferences and events and things like that. But it's a who's who, and you get advice and you learn. But as I said, we'll get to that later. Right now, did you know the Seattle Storm made a couple moves? They signed Skylar Diggins Smith and also Nneka Ogumike, and both of them are all stars. They were, they've been all stars. And what I like about this move by the Storm is it really is a showing that they're saying, you know what, they gave up a lottery pick to get Ogumike, who was one of the top free agents. They want to be competitive, the Storm do. They don't just want to sit around and lottery picks and things like that. They want to be very competitive, and they owe it. And I think it's a great sign by the Storm ownership, because one of these things, and what I mean by that is when you're in a storied franchise and then suddenly, you lose a couple players, or, whether it's retirement, Sue Bird, or whether free agency, Breonna Stewart, and you re-up a little bit, you can end up in mediocrity. And that's the thing about sports, is how do you maintain staying up there, being at the top, in terms of when change happens. And as I said, whether it's retirement, whether it's players go on to different teams, or it's injuries. And the Storm could have said, well, we'll stay with Ezzy. I mean, up and coming, last year was her first All-Star. And obviously Drew Lloyd, led the league in scoring. And and then you get a couple other players there to help them. But really, I like what the Storm did here. And they said, no, we're a storied franchise. We've been around, and we want to stay elite. And that's really the key. And Jordan Horston is a rookie, I should say, was a rookie, and all defensive uh, rookie team. And so what you have there is this budding, young talent. But again, and kudos to the Storm ownership for saying, no, 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 no. We want to stay up top. And right now, with Ogumake, and as well as Skylar Diggins Smith, who went to Notre Dame, so she knows um, Drew Lloyd. And I say, speaking of Notre Dame, if you haven't watched Notre Dame right now, get a chance to go out there and watch Hannah Hidalgo, 18 years old, averaging like 26 points, freshman. So, to be honest with you, I think 2-3 years from now, the players that will come out, because they can't just come out as freshmen. Obviously, about Pow Pow over there from Utah, and also, Flo Wiley from South Carolina. These are young players, Flo Wiley and Hidalgo. They are 18, and they are competing on high level teams. And so they'll probably be in college for a couple more years. And when they come out, they will transform the game. There's just no doubt about that. That's how revolutionary and how these players play. Now, as far as the Storm, FYI, they're not, first game looking here is May 14th, regular season. There'll be some practice games in there. We'll get you updates, and we're definitely going to do more Storm this year. And call up Jeff over there. Yeah. And see if we can't get either some players, or we can't get the coach to give us as we get closer to this season. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do that. And upcoming, we're going to talk with Russell Brown. Here's some Seattle U stuff, and we got the legend that is Peter Hatrip, U.S. Soccer. Yeah, why would we talk about soccer? That's really happening. No, a lot happening. And so that's kind of your tease in terms of coming up here. But I think the Storm really, the moves they made here, as I said, are really about, winning here now, and then also securing their future. I mean, Ngumake is an 8-time WNBA All-Star, and she's a member of the league's 25 team heading to Seattle. I mean, just incredible there, and Skylar Diggins is one of those players that, I mean, she's no joke either, right? She 10th NBA season, and she averages 16.7 points a game, 4.9 assists, and 2.9 rebounds, and then of course 1.3 steals. And that's something the Storm were missing, a point guard last year, and having a point guard really makes the difference in basketball. And it's like football, a quarterback. When you have that, that's really kind of, sets the tone, because you're able to have stability, and then you can create whatever offense, whether it's a transition, whether it's half court, it's at center midfield. And having that is really, sets the tone. So good move by the Storm there. As I said, some offseason, that's the move they've made. And it's really a well done there by the Storm. And what else is happening in the Seattle Mariners? Spring training starts in a couple weeks, and they made a move today. Yep, yeah, they did. And so the Seattle Mariners, they claimed right-handed pitcher Colin Snyder off waivers from Arizona. Snyder, he appeared in 62 games um, over the last two seasons. And what I'm seeing here is the Mariners are really stocking up their bullpen. And their pitching was strong, but now they want the bona fide bullpen. And we'll get more into that. And of course, you can always go up and check stuff on CascadiaSports.net. And also, yeah, but there you go. The Mariners are not standing pat either, but they are that example I talked about in terms of mediocrity, and they're trying to get out of that. They went to the playoffs 2 years ago, and last year it was, well, are they going to make it? And they didn't. And so now that's the crossroads. That really is the crossroads, and that's what the Mariners are trying to figure out in terms of, okay, where do they go with this thing? And they don't want to stay mediocre because that's where they've been. And the fan base now is rumbling. And it's when you're mediocre, you get in the playoffs, and then you don't. What's the natural reaction? I want to get back to the playoffs. It's definitely what they have to get to the playoffs. And so I think Jared DePorter's comments were, the famous comments about, you have to be mediocrity and everything else, and because of baseball. And what he was saying is that you need to be stable, but Mariner fans ain't hearing that. They need the Mariners to be in the playoffs each and every year and have a commitment to ownership. And as I said, you saw that with the Storm. You saw what the Storm did in terms of signing Diggin Smith. And also, as I said, again, Neko Gumike. Like, no, we'll win now, but we'll also be set for the future because you don't want to backslide. It's always mediocrity is a hard place to come from in terms of the sports, And I mean, you can be in last place, and then you get that run, you get some draft picks, and then you're first or whatever. And then how do you stay up there as a professional team? I mean, it's just difficult. And so then you find yourself, before you know it, you were last. Then, got a couple draft picks, and it's any sport really. Next thing you know, you're up there, but you can't stay long. Can't stay up there if you're not making those. You're having this kind of duality in terms of your franchise, right? You're thinking about now, and then you're also thinking about the future. And the Seattle, the Seahawks, you looked at that, and that's what's going on with them, right? And Pete with Mike McDonald coming in, and I'll talk to these gentlemen about that a little bit. But that's the thing. How do you evolve today with an eye towards the future? So, and another team I think is kind of in that, evolution, and they made that move last year, gutsy move, in terms of, what, we need to stay up top. We need to stay in the top 1 to 4 in terms of the league that we play in. We can't get stagnant. We can't get old. Now that comes, how long do you keep a veteran player? How long do you keep, the beloved, franchise or favorite? And the Sounders have been known, I would say, that ability to say, what, to cut bait when the time comes. They've made those moves, and going to let Peter and Russell go at it, and not go at it, but just really hear what they have to say, because I think they've done that. And so they picked up De La Vega, and we'll talk Sounders a little bit, but first, we gotta here it is. It's 2 years away, but the big announcement this week was Seattle Lumen Field will host 6 games. Now, you knew the group stage was coming, but man, the round of 32 and then the 16, and you get the United States men's soccer team playing here. Now we talked to Greg Burkholder yesterday, but you get that. I mean, what say ye, Peter and Russell? How you guys feeling about the announcement here? Peter, we'll let you start since you got the little U.S. men's cap going on, and I mean that having played for the U.S. men's national team, we ain't
Well,
forgetting that, brother.
it's a long time coming. Yeah, I think we missed out on the '94. Couldn't put grass down over the field on University of Washington. But it's exciting time. The U.S. has been great when they've played in Seattle, when we've had international games. The record here is fantastic, and it's going to be an experience for people completely different from anything they've been part of. The melding of different cultures and different people from all over the world, and that people will be coming in and out for the duration of that. And we have a great history of hosting big events. The Final Fours when they were here were fantastic. But this is a whole other animal because it's going to be here for 3 weeks, 3 weeks plus.
Russ?
Yeah, it's the world stage. I mean, we've said many times, it's a world-class city, and to have it on display is going to be huge. Obviously, the financial implications are huge for the city as well, but I think it's a celebration of soccer for this city that had such a deep root in soccer, in the game. And, 6 games is amazing, but as you said, the 32 and 16 is really what stands out, plus the U.S. national team. So I think it was already great news to be one of the cities listed, but this, I think, even tops that.
Yeah, no, and then Greg Burkholder yesterday, press conference with the media, he talked about, just playing here, but they got a favorable draw. I mean, we don't know they play, but they got a favorable West Coast kind of thing to where they start out in SoFi, come out here, play a game, and then so they're staying on the West Coast. They're staying real close, so the travel is relatively easy. And how important is that in terms of travel, in these games?
So I think it's huge to be able to have a base that you don't have to venture too far from. They'll keep the same base. I'm sure they'll fly in and be in town for just a few days and then back down. But it makes it easier. It'd be interesting to see. I don't think we know what 32 or 16 game we can get. Are they gonna? Can it be the U.S.? Could they get a knockout game here, which I think would be a great thing for the country and for the team, because this is someplace that no matter who they play, it's guaranteed to be a real home crowd advantage. If all of a sudden you ended up playing Mexico or somebody in California or Texas in a knockout game, I don't know that that's a home field advantage, but here they'll get huge backing, and with people that have been dying to have these kind of games here.
Let's entertain that question. I know 10 years, right? It used to be, and then what was it? The last 10 years, it wasn't. But if the United States were to play Mexico in the Rose Bowl, y'all think it would be Mexico home crowd, or has the tide kind of leveled out again?
Depends on who gets access to those tickets first. It's probably close to a 50-50 proposition down in LA. And hats off to the Mexican crowd that both travels, and the Mexican Americans that still have that affinity for their home country. But it does make a difference. And there were times when it was a road game, and by the atmosphere. The U.S. being much better on the world stage over the last 20 years than they were before, and the fact that they've moved some of those games to places where a little bit stronger for the U.S. fans to take hold than Los Angeles might be.
Columbus, right, Russell?
Columbus, New England. There's been a few places. So
But Russell, do you remember? I know Peter, you do. Do you remember this? It used to be Uncle Sam's Army, right? That was created to offset that, and then it went to Stars and Stripes. I don't know what it is now, but is that still a thing? You guys
Yeah,
know?
I believe I don't know the exact name anymore for the quote unquote supporters group, but I know it's gotten stronger. As Peter said, it's I agree. Play all the games in the Midwest. Anytime you're taking on Mexico or even Ohio, as you said, Columbus, but Seattle obviously as well. But I think the supporter culture is still behind when it comes to Mexico versus USA. So I think they still have the edge. But again, as Peter said, who gets access to the tickets first is probably going to have, and location is going to have the more home field advantage.
That would be
Outlaws.
What's
Outlaws,
that?
there we go.
Outlaws now.
Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Ouch. Okay. Well, all right. We could talk about that for a while, but I'll tell you what Seattle Sounders, I know, but they're, I could play you the video I saw. I don't know if you guys saw the highlights, but it's an exhibition. They play 2 games against 2 teams that are, the last one they won 3-0, middle of the pack in the Sweden League, but they are top tier. So what are you all's expectations for the Sounders here, having that they brought in, Nathan, somebody in the back, and obviously De La Vega to help with the scoring? What are your expectations for the Sounders this year?
Well, I think they'll be more entertaining. I think that they're going to play a little bit faster pace, be a little more direct at times. Having another person that can beat people and create things is going to make a difference. But I think their target's got to be to win trophies, and not just compete and say, okay, the playoffs. I mean, making the playoffs every year but one is a proud accomplishment, but that becomes the floor, not the ceiling now. Last year I thought they were good enough to go farther, but this year I think they need to target, at least getting to the conference finals, if not to the finals, and winning trophies and competing on all the different levels, whether it's the League Cup or the U.S. Cup, the Open Cup. I think they need to compete for all of those trophies.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Maz, you and I talked about it, and I was a little more on the blow everything up train. That maybe the culture has run its course and it's time to get a lot of new, fresh faces in. But I think they retooled so perfectly for what they needed to do. Again, one playoff miss in your entire history since 2009 coming into MLS is amazing, but the trophy case is all that matters. As Peter said, it's that all that matters for this club, and these moves show that. And I've always told you I need more in the attacking part of the squad. When they go out, they go get attackers for this team. The defense was good. The back line was great. Obviously, a couple leads were blown last year, and that was a big problem. But still, more goals, more balls in the back of the net is what this team needed, for a big majority of this last season. So these moves, I think, were beautiful and sets them up for MLS Cup and being competitive.
Yeah, they bring in Jonathan Bell on the back line, and then I thought the Danny Musovitsky signing was interesting. He did play with LAFC. Remember him scoring here, but he's more of a Peter. You can talk to this, obviously, but he's a big striker, and yet everybody else around him, the Ruel Diaz and all of that, I don't think he can take on defenders given his height and just his boss skills. You know what I mean?
Well, I think he's brought in as a different option.
Yep.
In much the same way Will Bruin was a different option. If what you're doing is not working, sometimes you got to change up what your tactics are. And he will be direct. He'll be in the box. He's not going to be out looking to play combinations 35 yards from goal or beat people. He's going to, if they play it into him, he's going to knock it off, and he's going to turn, and he's going to get his butt, get in the box. He's get in front of the goal, and that's what he does. That's what he's good at. It's poo-pooed a lot of times. They're just a poacher. A poacher that can score goals is important. Everyone poo-poos it, but we all want one. So, yes, it's great to have Pele or Maradona or Cruyff or Messi that creates goals for other people and scores goals as well. But it's also nice to have Gerd Mueller or Lewandowski or guys like that just score game after game. And if he can chip in when the other guys aren't producing, that makes a big difference.
And you missed out Russell's favorite player, obviously.
I was just about to say one of the best strikers in the world is considered a poacher. So I've been calling for a big striker forever, especially on these corners and these set pieces. We're just not winning headers in the box. So I think this is huge. Shout out to the Norwegian who, is considered a poacher, but scores goals. Sometimes you just got to put it in the back of the net.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a gift in and of itself. People say, I hear it all the time. Anyone would score that. Then why don't they? I mean, if it was that easy, everyone would do it and everyone would make millions.
Good point, Peter.
It's a gift to be in the right spot at the right time and to have the composure to get those. I mean, I've heard it. It's always interesting to me. They go, all he does is score goals. Well, that's all my goalie does is stop goals. Oh, God, he's no good. We don't want him. Hello.
Oh, that's good. The name came to me. Roger Davies. That's an old Sounder name. That like we were all growing up watching the certain names in the Sounders. You're like, oh yeah, he was one that could score a goal up in there.
He still holds the Sounders record for goals in a season.
Does he?
25 goals back in 1980.
He was prolific, and that's the thing. I think hopefully he will bring in De La Vega. What do you? I know we've talked about him going and taking on defenders, creating the width in there. What's that competition going to look like in terms of him, Leo Chu, and do you bring in Christian Roldan inside, and where do you put Albert Rusnik?
It's a good question. A lot of it is, and sometimes people don't quite understand this, it's not the best players. It's the best combination of players. And some people say, well, so-and-so is better than so-and-so, but he doesn't mesh with those guys. So that's what Brian's trying to figure out during preseason. How do I fit these guys together? I've got a lot of good pieces. Which ones work best together? Who plays in good combination with each other? It might be hard to move Christian off the right side because he plays so well with Alex.
Can't hear him.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they figure that out.
Russell, before we go to break here, just got less than a minute, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think in the introductory press conference, he mentioned he could play so many different positions. So I think one thing Sounder fans need to be aware of, it might not be perfect early season. And it goes to Peter's point. It's going to take a while to get that combination down. I would obviously like to see Chu on the outside and Roldan same side, obviously, with Alex behind him. But that's why I'm sitting here on this podcast and not coaching the Sounders. So it's going to take a while for them to get that together. But I think if you have the talented pieces, you're allowed some leeway in how to arrange that. But it's going to take a little bit of time. So not instant success, but I think it'll get there with time.
All right, fellas, we're going to go on break. And you want to hang around for a little bit? I got, I believe, a guest coming on. But we're going to always roll with you guys. So hold on. We are going to go on break. That is, Russell Brown. He is of Post Game on the Pitch with me for CascadesSports.net. And, of course, Peter Hat-Trick. Hat-Trick. That's who that is. Legend in these parts. So we're going to go on break. Seattle Sports Weekly here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Celebrate Black History Month at the Call to Conscience Black History Month Museum, formerly Columbia City Theater, 4916 Rainier Avenue South. Call to Conscience Black History Month Museum features exhibits and installations. It's a guided tour.
Installations include the Seattle Black Panther Party, the Black Heritage Society of Washington, the Rainier Cinema Black Movie Posters Collection, the Hartsfield Family Enslaved Quilt Collection, Revere XR, Negro League Baseball's Seattle Steelheads, NAACP Washington, Alaska, and Oregon, Giselle's Famous Chicken, Nasty Mix Records, Sir Mix-a-Lot, South Seattle Emerald, the Museum of History and Industry, Community Keepsakes and Memorabilia, the Total Experience Gospel Choir and Pat Wright, the Black Prisoners Caucus, a display from the Tacoma Buffalo Soldiers Museum.
Tuesdays through Sundays from 11 a.m. 7 p.m. There will be no other location where you can celebrate the achievements and the achievers. Pacific Northwest Seattle, the Black license that shines. For more information, visit Rainier Avenue Radio App, 206-290-9685.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines, local Filipino here ang radyo po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in. Feel our radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.org.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they
generational wealth. As of right now, it feels very inequitable given the identities that you have versus if you are a person of color or not. To me, for this generation, I'm going to have to work really, really hard for intergenerational wealth to develop, especially with the economic system that Seattle's in right now, more than ever. Having been a Seattleite as well, I hope that we can talk about it more. And glad that this conversation is starting and to consider thinking about it more as a person of color and coming from an immigrant background as well.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.org. Create your generational wealth for you and the future of your families.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update.
All right, we are back from the break, and our guests are going to hang on for a little bit. Peter's going to hang on for a little bit of a segment, and then Russ is going to ride out the show, and we're going to talk too. We're just going to talk, but we're talking a bit more football and the Super Bowl experience and those kinds of things. But fellas, to wrap up the Sounder discussion here. And Russell, you said something in terms of they don't need to start out early. I wonder if there is Peter, I think you have to start out from the gate though. I mean, I think they really need to really start this season off. I mean, they start off in LA. So, that's a tough task, and there's going to be overreactions to that game. If the Sounders win, then it's like, oh, they're back. If they lose, then it's like, oh, no. So maybe to Russell's point in terms of, hey, those first 5 games is then when we can make a determination of how good the Seattle Sounders, are or will be. For the first quarter of the season, and they will really be able to make a judgment on that. And I think that would be a fair kind of assessment. And as if I look at the schedule here, they go LAFC, then they're home. So their first, let's go 6 games. They're at LA. They, here, home game. less than about a week later. Then they go to Philadelphia, Colorado at home. You go back on the road to San Jose. Oh, interesting. And then you're back again on the road in LA, which is the Galaxy this time. So you're 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 games. You're playing three of your first 8 games are on the road. So that'll be an interesting perspective there. So yeah, it is. The season has them. They need to start on the road, and that's always a good way to tell whether the team is or not. And we will see where they go. But so as I was saying, in terms of the Super Bowl, I'm gonna play this video of this. As I was walking over to the media row, I met up with the Cup Man, as he calls himself, and so he's there's a big fight here that's going to happen in Las Vegas this Thursday over there at the Mandalay Bay, and so there they are. Okay, are they on? I can't see if they're on. Russ. Yo, sorry guys, I didn't think you were on there, but let's go back before you'll love this the Cup Man thing. It's a priceless interview from back in the day. But let's finish. They've been there the whole time. I can't see them. Never mind, my bad. All right, guys. So yeah, I don't know what to do about my audio. Vegas, right? Wi-Fi in Vegas. Bear with me then. But your first 8 games, 3 at home and 5 on the road. That's expectations there. What do you need to see out of those first 8 games?
Well, to Russell's point, I think you need to see that something's developing. I get points, and they're going to have to get some wins. But I think he's more saying, and I agree, that they might not be a well-oiled machine in the first couple months of the season. They're going to take a little time to work out. Now, they have a solid defense, which keeps you in games, and they have some talented pieces that just on individual ability should be able to give you something. But to see them looking the way we hope to see them at the end of the season right off the bat, I think is going to be tough. I think they'll still win games. They do have guys that will score goals. They'll cause problems. But I don't think we're going to get a feel for exactly how good they're going to be, maybe till the middle of the season. And at that point, it's going to take Brian to figure out, he's got preseason now, but what is my best combination? Who plays well coming off the bench? Who can I insert there that doesn't hurt the chemistry? What happens when guys go away for international duty? And they've got so many pieces now, which is great for him, but also a headache. And how do I make sure I give those guys enough minutes to keep them sharp for when I need them? And I think they'll compete right from the beginning because, they have a solid defense, and that keeps you in games. And the individual ability will have to do a little bit on its own until they get all dialed in together.
Well, Russ, okay. I'll let you tackle that, but that sounds like a little bit of double speak. I'm just being an ad. I'm working on my Stephen A. Pat McAfee kind of, stir up the pot. All those knuckleheads. Actually, I'm just trying to spice it up. But hold up. You want to compete, and sure, you always want your best team at the end, right? You always want to be hitting that stride. But I think you've got to. What does compete look like? That's what the legend said. What does compete look like to you, Russell?
Yeah, I think, as Peter said, great defense is going to keep it close, which always, defense travels, as everybody says. And you have talented enough attackers now that you should be able to pull out some results. But I go to the point, I actually am excited that they're going to be on the road to start the season because this is historically a team that finishes well. And yes, they've had some struggles at home, at Lumen,
Okay. You kind of cut off the. Is it me down here at the Excalibur with this? Is my Wi-Fi going on in and out here? Because we got a
I
little bit
lost
of
him
audio
too.
issues. Huh?
I lost him too.
Yeah. That's all right. All right. Well, it's live. I mean, it's not taped, and so we know that, and that's what we like about it. So, Russell, you faded off a little bit. What we heard was, you said that historically they have struggled early on at Lumen Field, and it's good for them to be on the road, and so I think that makes sense. But let me do this. Let me play you just this cut, man. Let's see if I can do this. So this is Mazvita Maraire for the Cascadia Sports Network. Down here on my way to pick up the credentials, and there seems to be a boxing thing going on or about to go on, and I meet Cutman Vic. Cutman Vic. I'm confusing with, like we talked about, So what is a Cutman, and how did you get into it? Oh, there's the hat. I didn't even see it.
So a Cutman prevents the swelling in the fight, and once there's a cut, stops them from bleeding, so they can continue fighting. Especially above the eye, those are the most dangerous cuts because they can stop the vision and impede the vision of the fighter, and it actually it puts them at risk. So I stop the bleeding and the swelling during the fight.
So are you a doctor? Are you? You know a little bit about the body and medicine, right?
You do. To be honest with you, a lot of cutmen don't have a lot of medical experience. But I was raised by Billy Briscoe, one of the best, like Gabe Rosado's boxing coach, and then Don Miguel Diaz, the legendary 86-year-old cutman from Top Rank. So being around those guys, having been a military veteran, Marine, wanting to talk to surgeons, blood specialists, trauma specialists, I always strived to get better at it. And to do that, I became a cutman in bare knuckle, where they fight with no gloves. The press conference we have today is Teofimo. That's part of his team behind us, Teofimo Lopez and Ortiz. They're fighting. That's the main event. Fighting on the 8th, they fight with a glove, and so they fight with an 8 or 10-ounce glove, depending 147 or less, 8 ounce, 154 higher, 10-ounce glove. So I also work in a sport where they fight with no gloves. That's absolutely brutal. Guys look like they've been in a car crash. So
and what's the key in that? Just in terms of that there's no gloves. I mean, you got to try to put the guy together and get him back out there. I mean, that's got to be something.
So regardless of the combat sport discipline, your job is to ice the fighter, recognize where he's hurt, ice him, get the swelling down, and if he's cut, to use the one of 3 approved agents to stop the bleeding during the cut.
And then how did you get into this? I mean, we talked a little bit off camera, and you've been doing this business for a minute or two.
Yeah, I used to box around Marvin Hagler, and I grew up boxing. And then I left boxing for a long time. Then my kids came out of a bad situation. They wanted to learn how to defend themselves, so they learned how to box. That's what they chose they wanted to do. So they were bleeders like myself. They bled very easily, and I didn't want them to get stopped at the national level because of a nosebleed. So I became more familiar with what's approved, what's not approved. Using adrenaline, was epinephrine 1 to 1,000, how to use it, and I kept my kids fighting. And then it picked up at the nationals. The fighters became guys on the national team. They became pros, and I ended up migrating over to the professional side.
So what would you say? Dad's got a kid, 12-year-old, says, "Hey, I want to go into boxing."
I would say do it as a sport. Do it to learn how to defend yourself. Try not to take that damage to the brain, because unless you're going to make a living at it at the highest level, which would be a WBC world champion, there's no sense in taking that kind of brain damage, or football either. I'd say, because it's damage that will affect you the rest of your life. It's good to know how to defend yourself. Also learn how to wrestle, because all fights on the street go to the ground. So it's good to know your hands, but it's good to wrestle with jiu-jitsu or judo.
All right, where can I find Cutman Mick? Are you at any gym? Are you online? Or are you? I know you're around boxing, because that's what you do.
So I live in Vegas. I'm at the Top Rank gym. I'm with Miguel Diaz. I'm the cutman for BYB, Extreme Bare Knuckles, the guys who fight with no gloves. So they're fighting on the 10th of Mississippi. I work with BKB out of London at the O2 Arena. I'm at the Top Rank gym in Las Vegas with Don Miguel Diaz, the legendary 86-year-old cutman. He's my mentor.
All right, that's what you get. You go to Vegas, you find people that I just thought it was a unique experience here, and there's so much stuff going on besides the football there. So I think Russell and both Russell and Peter had to go, and coming out of the break. So for the next 15 minutes, we're going to talk a little bit of Peter. Yeah, there he is. We'll talk a little bit of football here, and I wish I would. It's crazy. I don't know if the way they do it, they just this podium where the players on the field, they're in risers, and there is hundreds of media asking them all kinds of questions. So, it's kind of cool, but they get asked everything and anything. And I was going to, I think here's Nick Bosa. So here is kind of Nick Bosa doing his interview, and just listen to some of the questions that he gets asked here.
Reggie White, go Jared Allen, Jason Taylor.
Leaving yourself off of it?
I'll be on there one day.
One more. Would you share?
Oops. Sorry about that. All right. Well, there you go. I guess we cut him out. I got plenty. We got another one. Let me there was just some really amazing, interesting videos yesterday, and let me see if I can't get to there we go. I'm looking here for all y'all just to kind of give you an idea of who would be really good. I thought Deebo Samuel was a good one. So, all right, let's go to Deebo Samuel, and you'll kind of hear a little bit about, him down there, and then me asking him some questions. And so here's Deebo Samuel from yesterday.
Skill guys, you never know who game is going to be, so you just got to win your time. And I think Kyle did a great job with, dispersing the ball around everybody.
What's it been like to be teaming?
It's been amazing, man. It feel like I've known Trent all my life, which is crazy. I've only been knowing him for 4 years now. But man, that's definitely like a real big brother too. Top 5, I'm gonna go with Lil Baby. I'm gonna go with Future. I definitely gotta put Rod in there. I gotta put Young Boy in there. I be vibing with that. I be vibing that Dirt too.
I can't hear you. We know you're real competitive, man. Are you extra competitive for this game? Because
I'm the same competitor every game.
I know you mentioned you didn't love the tape you had in 2022. How much more did you like your tape this year?
I ain't even we'll revisit that when it's all said and done.
So simple, Deebo, are you ready? We're gonna win this or what?
Nah, for sure, definitely ready.
Deebo, can you?
Man, the locker room is crazy. The energy, and I think we got a good group of guys that's been in this position with me in 2019, and you just look around and you think like my rookie year we lose. My second year COVID, NFC lose. All right, now we're here. So what are we going to do to take advantage of every opportunity that we have? And that's been the one thing that we've been focused on all week.
The leadership of this team, when you guys went through your stretch a little bit, can you talk about that? How that prepared? The leadership of your team, the locker room, when you went on that 4-game losing streak to come back now and be ready.
3, not 4.
3, my bad. I'm so sorry for 3 games. The point is about your leadership and the locker room of this team, the cohesiveness you have.
The goal is to win every game, but in reality, you're not going to win every game. It's how you bounce back. And we kind of hit a slump. And we've been in a slump for a couple of years, and our main thing is the start of this year was coming out and being fast and not standing behind the 8 ball. And we came out. I think we won 4 straight, 5 straight, one of them. But yeah, man, the main goal is just to keep winning. And when you get a slump, don't let it continue to happen over and over and over again, and then after that stretch, we just gonna run.
You talked about this a little bit, not making this game any bigger than any other game, but being ready for it.
What about it? Did you ask?
The question is, how do you go into this game not making it any bigger than it is, but just a game that you have to execute and win?
I think you're making a statement.
Okay.
There you go. I just had to play that. It's interesting sometimes. Yeah, you asked a question and the player's like, I ain't answering your question. So left it at that. But, as I said, it's always very interesting in terms of these things. And it was fun. And, players are there. And I'm trying to get one more. And this one would be a good one because it would be from former Trent McDuffie from the Huskies. Was there as well and got a chance to talk to him and won't be able to do that one. But anyway, so it's been, like I said, packed meetings after here and the players and everything else and just the ability to get up close in the meetings. And like right after this, we got another kind of stuff going on. So, in terms of what's happening with the teams, there's media availability there was this morning and this afternoon, today being Tuesday, same thing on Wednesday. And this one, you have to take the shuttle over there and then they will take you over to the team, stay away from the strip. They have their own hotels and they're far out. And what as you can expect, and to get there, I mean, security is incredible, and which makes sense. I mean, they're trying to protect the players, and really, it's not that. I mean, I don't know if it would happen, but I think it's about the distractions. So really, what they're trying to do, in these situations, is to really minimize the distractions for the players, so that way they can concentrate on the game. And there is all kinds of things that are going on in all these, all around here. And I'm not a big partier, but there's just so much activities and interesting things. All the prices are jacked up. Talked to some people that, I bought a double tall, what was it? I went to Starbucks, a double tall, 12-ounce non-fat latte. How much it cost me? $12. No, I'm sorry. It cost me $10, I should say. Yeah, $10. And so you just look at it and you keep going and everything, it's Vegas and it's a Super Bowl. So there's a tendency to really, I'm sorry, they're just they're taking advantage. And that's what happens in these type of events. And, you just do what you do and you go on. So a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff. I think the game is going to be exciting. I would look for, I think in the end, it's really Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers coach against Patrick Mahomes, because I think Shanahan's ability to create offenses, to be able to scheme that's why you see Brock Purdy playing so well, and also the defense, and Andy Reid as well. So you've got two really good coaches, and the key here is going to be which of their players is going to make a difference. And I think that'll be the key when it comes to Sunday's game. I'm just excited to go see it. There's a sea of red, there's a sea of white, and but both teams and everywhere you go. But it should be a good game. I don't think this is one of those that won't live up to its top billing. This is, I believe, one of those games, as I said, two good coaches that will, both teams are stacked with players. 49ers defense, can the 49ers defense stop the Chiefs offense? And that's why I'm doing the Patrick Mahomes thing here. And then but I should note in passing here the Sounders, the Seattle Seahawks. So I think we talked about Mike McDonald, the young, dynamic, innovative coach. He believes in putting his players in the best position. That's really where the it's all going now in terms of the coaches. They're giving credit to the player, and I've talked about that. And also, the Seahawks are hiring the offensive coordinator. And if you're wondering, well, wait, he is a Haba, and so it is the McDonald has been interviewing people, but in the end, it looks like he's going to stay with Jay Harbaugh, who is part of the Harbaugh family. And so they knew each other in terms of where they met each other. Harbaugh was in 2014 with the Ravens, McDonald as a defensive intern, Harbaugh as an offensive quality control. And in 2021 in Michigan, when McDonald was defensive coordinator, Harbaugh, the tight ends coach. So he's looking to bring him back. I mean, that relationship, keep that going. And he's, the thing about Harbaugh is in terms of, he was with he's been there. He understands this. And he's been at college as well as the pro game. So that's what they're looking to do here in terms of the next offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. And so there's more things to be, there's more hirings to be done here. But now you're starting to see that Mike McDonald is starting to fill in his team. And the Huskies, they're hiring Steve Belichick. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, he is as defensive coordinator. And yes, that name is Bill Belichick's son. So, both, you got some big names coming up here, but Jay Harbaugh, special teams coordinator for the Seahawks. And then you're going to take a look at, in terms of Steve Belichick, he will be the UW's next defensive coordinator. So things are moving, and I think it's an exciting time in terms of your two football teams there. And maybe, who knows, maybe next year we'll be broadcasting it's Super Bowls from New Orleans, and we'll be talking to you about the Seahawks are here, and wouldn't that be something? But we'll just have to wait and see. And other than that, I think that does it. I would say thank you all for listening. And let me see, do I have anything else for you? No, I think that's it in terms of Harbaugh and Belichick. So we'll have to save the Trent McDuffie video. You can see it up there in my YouTube channel, as well as CascadiaSports.net. And so from Las Vegas, the Excalibur Hotel, I'm Mazvita Maraire for of CascadiaSports.net, for Rainier Avenue Radio.world on Seattle Sports Weekly.